Cool. Hey everyone, I'm super glad you could join us live. We have Alex Coyle all the way from Hollywood, California. What city technically are you residing in?
Lakeview Terrace, which is outside of, it's part of LA County, but it's kind of like as far north as you can get without leaving LA.
Nice. We chatted a little bit, but you were affected by the fires, right? The recent fires?
Yeah, I luckily we did not have to evacuate. We were really close. We were in between the two big fires, but we were prepared to lose the house. We had like
Yikes.
the ladder against the roof for the firefighters, and we were packed and ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
But luckily, just winds shifted and did not get affected. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy. I can't imagine, even like you had a little bit of warning. I just can't imagine sort of packing the house for what could be the last time and being like, this has to come and this unfortunately doesn't fit.
yeah, it's definitely very surreal when you come to this realization of like it's all just junk. None of it matters, you know. I was like, all right, I got my hard drives, and I was like, I think I grabbed maybe three cameras, and
Oh.
I was like, I was like, I want room for a spare tire in case like I need it and we're evacuating and I have a spare tire and I brought like a wood saw in case there's debris in the road. And it's like your priorities change and you're like, okay, let's just get out of here. And it's not like I grew up in the East Coast and I'm used to hurricanes where you have like all this time to prep, but fires are a little more
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah, hurricanes, you got days usually, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Um, well, I'm glad that you're safe and that your house is safe.
yes, thank you. Likewise.
I first met Alex when we worked together at Virginia Commonwealth University in the photography and filmmaking department, and I was just kind of blown away at sort of the breadth of projects that you took on, and kind of followed your career, and am again blown away at the projects that you're working on. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Alex. And then, of course, if anyone has any questions or comments, like it's a relatively small group, feel free to like unmute yourself and pop in. Um, yeah, just a cool chat. Or you could drop questions in the chat, like Alex said earlier. Um, cool.
Yeah,
I will.
whatever works. Feel free to break up my monotony. Hopefully it's not too monotonous. So
Nice. Well, take it away.
cool. I'm going to share my screen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's go over here to the start. Hi. All right. You seeing this?
Yes.
Cool. That's me and my new puppy dog. She's the best. So I'm Alex Coyle. I studied at Virginia Commonwealth University, graduated in 2017. I was actually rejected from the art school initially. So I went into advertising, did that for a year, but I was still like, I still kind of want to do art school. So I applied again, got in my second time. And by that time, I was like, well, ed school is kind of fun. Maybe I should do both. So I did 2 degrees. And then I did a certificate in product innovation because I love learning and making the most of it. Um, I currently am a camera assistant in the film, television, commercial industry. I mostly do films and commercials, less TV, thankfully. TV is very long. I'm also on my union's sustainability committee because the film industry wreaks havoc on the environment, and I'm trying to make it a little bit better. So that's kind of like my passion volunteerism. And oh, is my Zoom window covering this pictures? You guys see that?
I think you're good.
Okay, cool. Um, and then for fun, I rescued a dog in January, kind of like right after the fires. I was out in the desert and she was dumped and needed a home. So now we do agility. And I also do leather working, which is really fun and always doing something in my dark room. So that's kind of, hello, that's me. Cool. So I work mostly as a second assistant camera, a second AC on set, does a lot of things. Most noticeably, they're the ones who hit the sticks on the slate and go, scene 14, take one, mark. And you also are setting marks for the actors. You're pushing crap around. You're taking really detailed notes. you're coordinating stuff with production and making sure you get all the gear for the department and just helping out wherever needed. So that is kind of my role. One of my biggest projects that I'm probably most proud of was a movie called Naiad. You can see it on Netflix. It's about Diana Naiad, who's the only woman to have swum from Cuba to Florida, 113 miles or so. So we did a movie about that. It turned out really well, but it was very hard working on an island, especially with a lot of LA crew who were used to LA amenities. So we brought tons of stuff with us, photo of said stuff. I
Whoa.
forget how many pallets in total it was, but that is the warehouse where we unpalletized and kind of got our gear ready for the movie. So you can see all the carts and cases. It's like 160 cases total or something. Um,
With, sorry to interrupt, but with a project like this where so much stuff is moving, is there some sort of like accepted amount of loss that happens within this process, or is that unacceptable? Like this many cases came, this many cases need to come back.
we got there and we couldn't find um we slow boated, I don't know, like 50 cans of compressed air because it was something that was going to be hard to get on the island and you had to slow boat it because you can't ship compressed air. And so we got there and it was just like nowhere to be found. And we're like, we sent this like 4 weeks ago. Where is it?
Oh no.
Uh, it turns out it just got delivered to costumes. So we got it. Everything made it. There were some things that were damaged in
Mm.
shipment, but it was all like cases. No gear was damaged, but I'd say over the run of the show, it was probably the most L&D lost or damaged heavy show I've done.
Oh,
Most
okay.
because we're working in proximity to the water and the salt in the air just like rusted a lot of things. Um, and then
Got it.
also like another thing of like working in a country whose infrastructure is not built for film. Like our one of our camera trucks was a converted fish refrigeration truck. Um, and so like that was one, and then our other camera truck had a leak in the roof and it leaked right on top of our battery cart. So we lost
Oh
the battery.
wow. Jeez. Okay, yeah. Well, sorry
Oh
to
yeah.
interrupt.
No, 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 please. Um, and yeah, so stuff happens. Um, for sure. Uh,
We we got a question from Bella. What camera do you use for movies versus ads and why? Ooh, that is a big question.
yeah, that is a big question. I'd say that's totally the DP's choice. There's not one over the other. A lot of times when DPs aren't shooting movies, they're off shooting ads in the meantime to, make up their bread and butter. So you're going to be using high budget cameras like Sony Venice and all the Arri cameras on commercials. Um, you're just working at a different scope, or, it's like maybe not as many A-list talent or not as much budget, or it's just a shorter project. So you're still using all the big things. Unless you're doing like low budget, and then it's like, here's three Komodos, have fun, and you're like, cool. Luckily, I've been able to steer away from like iPhone world, but there's definitely a whole market of shot on iPhone, and that's not like to promote Apple, but just like it's an Instagram ad, so we'll just shoot it on an iPhone. So that is a world that exists.
That's super interesting. That was a great question, Bella. Thank you.
So here's a photo of the tank stage we worked at for most of the movie. You can see like there is a pool, and then at the very edge, where the blue screen is, that butts up to the ocean. So they would kind of blue screen out the seam of like edge of tank to ocean to make it look seamless. And then you have all these big dump tanks to simulate storms. And we would just run dolly track back and forth and shoot along that, or shoot in a kayak or a boat. We had a couple fun things. So yeah, that was Naiad. More recent stuff I've done. Movie called Lurker, shot by Pat Scola. Also did Sing Sing Pig. And That was a movie on 16 millimeter and high eight, which was fun.
High eight, the tape format?
Yes, we had a few high eight sequences. So, um, there's actually a really beautiful moment in the movie where the character drops the camera, the high eight camera, and it does this like amazing glitch. And you're like, oh, you don't need post because it's just physically like the media is getting screwed up by falling, and what you think would happen happens. So there's something kind of magical about going back to more analog and older roots. But this is
Yes.
out, it debuted at Sundance, and you can watch it on Movie, or which is you can also view through Amazon Prime. So that's one way to watch that. Um, and then The Hand That Rocked the Cradle, it's a remake of a 90s thriller, comes out tomorrow on Hulu. So yay. I
I
saw
just
we
saw
had
an ad for that a couple days back,
oh
so that
sick.
was surprising to see.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say we had like a cast and crew premiere party last week, and it came out really well. And the sound design is actually like really killer. So if you're looking for good sound design alone, looking at you, Dana.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
So that was a project I did last year. We started it like before December, and then like between like the fires, and then there was like an actor had like a personal crisis, and then there was some other like thing that happened, and it's like, God, we just need to get this movie done. But it got done, and I'm happy to say that I think it got done well. So, yay. Cool. So, what did I do in college to get to what I'm doing now, all this crazy stuff? I did internships. I did one internship locally at a production company, and then I did a different internship the following summer across the country at another coast for a ad agency, and I worked in their post production side. So I was like pulling stock footage, transcribing videos. Now that's all done with AI, which is kind of nice to be honest. But it's like my job as an intern was to like type out everything people were saying. Um, so I did internships, and that helped start and build my network locally and, not locally. And just the power of email. Emails suck. I hate emails, but they get things done and they've gotten me places. And so I would just check in with people and be like, hey, I see, you're a local First AC. Would you ever want to get coffee? My treat. I would love to hear about your journey. Um, and it's amazing what a couple of those will do. Uh, and then yeah, surviving. College is tough. I did it for 5 years, and I was like so burnout by the end of it. I very much was like, I need to be done. Every photo has already been made. Things are pointless, blah, 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 existential. But, you made it through. There's something to be said about completion. So
I like every photo has been made. That's fantastic.
feels that way. So after college, I didn't necessarily have a job right away. I was just doing odd jobs. I was stuffing, school portraits into mailers. I was working as a machinist um, uh, assistant, just like polishing metal and whatever, helping with 3D printing. I did my senior year of college get a grant through my school to make a project. So that gave like me and two other friends a little bit of purpose. So we graduated and like, all right, we're gonna make this piece. And so that was cool to have a project kind of right away, even though it's like we didn't get paid per se, we just got reimbursed. But we went to a particle accelerator in Illinois at the US Department of Energy's headquarters called Fermilab. Um, and made a little multimedia piece, which we then debuted at like a local art event, right? What would you call it? Inlight?
Yeah, festival maybe one day
Yeah,
festival. Yeah.
cool. So we did like an art piece where we printed photos of the interior of a particle accelerator onto huge sheets of plexi and like shone a light through it, and you could walk around the space. And then we also did had like a sound element where you can listen to like the scientists we interviewed. So that was just like something we did after the fact.
No biggie, just running around the inside of a particle accelerator.
It was radioactive too. You could hear the like Geiger counter going click, click. Um, so then after that, I was like, well, now what do I do? And one of my friends from the film side of the program I was in, Emily Brund, she was working at a nonprofit art center. And she had posted something about, hey, like we need an editor to help us with our workload. And the post was like for a year in Montana. And I was like, I don't know that I can do a year, but I could probably do a few months for sure. So I like reached out and talked to her, and they were just like so backlogged that they were like, yeah, even if you can't do a year, we'll take you. And so I flew out to Montana and was there for 2 months or so. I don't know. And so trekking around in the snow, shooting a little B-roll, but mostly just like editing stuff. And yeah. Oh yeah, the odd job photo in the corner. Someone asked me to dig a grave for a show. So
Oh, it's
the,
for a show.
yes, yes, for a show.
Okay.
But I mean, it is kind of like sketchy. Like, hey, will you dig this grave for $100? And I was like, sure.
I promise you, it's for a movie show.
Yeah, it was paid cash, totally a movie. But the thought was they wanted an aerial shot, and so they couldn't like get a digger because they would have like machine marks of the digger, and like
Yeah,
they
makes
didn't want to
sense.
paint that out, so it was cheaper just to hire little old post-college Alex to dig a grave.
Alex in the chat says, "Did you dig that hole?" Or Avery in the chat says, "Did you dig that thing alone?"
No, so I had two other people, and we took turns, and then at about 4 feet we hit the water table, and I called the producer, and I was like, "Dude, I don't think we're going much digger, what much deeper." And she was like, "Send me a photo," and I did, and she was like, "Yeah, looks good." And I was like, "Cool, we're stopping."
Did you ever see the shot in its use?
I didn't. I should totally follow.
Yeah.
But then, like a month later, she was like, "Hey, do you want to dig another?" And I was like, "No." Um, it was a good story, but not a repeatable thing I wanted to do.
Just think of the direction your life could have gone in. You could have been a professional grave digger.
It is tough work. Anywho, so odd jobs, that's what creatives do is odd jobs. Um, Ultimately, my first set, I worked in the props department. There was a scene with the character coming out of prison, and there was like a lot of press in the scene photographing the event. And so the props department needed someone to assemble all the cameras to give to the extras, the newscasters, and then teach them how not to look like an idiot. So I built the cameras. I said, this is how you hold it. Um, and then while I was there, I schmoozed. I said hi to the camera department. I already knew one person there. And turns out they hated their camera PA. So ultimately they fired him and hired me. And everything just snowballs after that. The rest is
What was
history.
that? That was on Homeland?
Homeland, yes, good recall. Yeah, season 7. Um, but that's how it goes. I feel like everyone's foot in the door into this industry is different. And it's like, obviously, my experience will never translate to someone else of like, oh, I just need to get into the props department and then make sure, blah, blah, blah. So you just got to be open to avenues. I think I went out to a casting call for extras for a historical piece that was going on in town. Not because I wanted to be an extra, but because I wanted to get the email for who I could send my resume to. So I went to the casting call, got photographed with my like brightly dyed red hair for a historical piece. And then after that, I was like, talked to the office PA and was like, hey, is there an email for resumes? I want to be in camera. And I got it. So um, you never know. Be creative, but not annoying. there's a balance. Um, and just keeping in touch with everybody. I grew up in Virginia and I went to college and worked there, and that's where I joined the union. But like a lot of shows had come to Virginia with a lot of LA crew. So I had kept in touch with those people, and that's ultimately like what made my move out to LA really strong and solid, which is a privilege that not a lot of people have or can say. So I'm very grateful for that. So I did my first show as a union person, in Virginia. We had three shows simultaneously at the same time, which was like crazy for Virginia. Um, and so they were strapped for crew, and it was kind of like, well, Alex wants to be in the union and she's gonna move to LA after, so she's not gonna take her jobs afterwards. And with, like a lot of people vouching for me, I kind of got expedited and because of the shortage of labor, which was super fortunate. So I joined my union on East Coast and transferred to the West Coast.
Got a question from Bella. What has been your favorite show to work on? Or I'm assuming Bella, that's what you mean. Favorite show to work on?
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, like every project has something different that you like. I did a VFX plate unit for a Godzilla and Kong movie, and it was just a week in Morocco shooting vistas, no talent, and it was just like so fun and got to ride first class to Morocco and be served warm nuts in my plane and then go in like the chaos of Marrakesh. And it was also during the World Cup, so it was like such a cool place to be at, like such a neat time. Um, so I think that kind of holds a special place in my heart, is that one week in Morocco.
That is a pretty incredible answer to be ready to have.
Super lucky. So yeah, so I stayed in Virginia for a bit and then kind of realized um my career climbing was capped out in Virginia, and that it was sort of like me and my friend both going for the same one job in town. And it's like one of us is gonna get health insurance this year. Good luck. So like yeah, it's definitely time to move. So I did. Drove all the way across the country, made it to LA right before COVID. So thankfully I was never a student during COVID, but I signed my lease March 1st, 2020, and then 2 weeks later the city. So that kind of sucked, but I survived here. Um, so when I was like kind of choosing where to go, oh God, I need to speed up. I'm lollygagging. Sorry, guys. LA's expensive. You gotta sacrifice the little stuff. I had this sick apartment in Richmond, Virginia, and then I go to LA and it's like, yeah, bring your own fridge. I'm like, what? Um, Parking sucks everywhere. You're gonna have to have roommates. But it's where Hollywood began, started. There's so much knowledge and resources here and like cool theaters to go to. There's also terrible fires and earthquakes. Um, but there's resources. And then Facebook Marketplace is kind of amazing here because like I needed a film changing tent, and I could just be like film changing tent, and this like $300 tent is on Marketplace for $50. I'm like, sick.
One thing, when you're talking about resources, water isn't included. That is correct, right?
Touche. Yeah. We definitely have problems in the city. I have a lot of sad things to say about LA, but I'll skip that. I included this photo of my partner resurfacing our truck because I feel like this is kind of like the LA experience of survival. Like we live with his grandma, um, and bought a truck from a ex-firefighter off Marketplace for like 3 grand, and then like painted it up, got it back up and running, and now we have like this truck to haul work stuff around in. And it's kind of just like the picture of like this how you make do. And I'm super lucky that I could dump my former roommates, and my new roommates are now my partner and his grandma, who's super cool. So, but that's kind of the LA way. Um, film industry itself, only certainty is there's no certainty. It sucks for scheduling. It sucks for hanging out with friends. It sucks that you feel like you can never plan something because you're always waiting for a phone call, not doing fun things because like, oh, well, what if I get a job? Or you schedule fun things and then you get a job and it's like, ugh, well, now what am I canceling? It's definitely a feast or famine industry. You need to be smart with your money. It can be super stressful. Relationships can be really hard to have, especially if you have someone who doesn't come from a gig industry, who understands just like the spontaneity in which things can come to fruition and also fizzle. So like the travel is cool. Um, duh, 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 duh. But it's a lot of hustling, and social media is definitely bringing us to this new era of playing field of how do we survive, and shooting with like 12 frame lines at once because it's like, oh, well, we got to have it for TV and then for the vertical. And then like we also want this crop for Instagram. And you're like, eh, can we even have a frame like without, being constricted by all these boxes on our monitor? But we adapt, we survive, we keep learning. Um, that is how you do. And then this video is from a Wendy's commercial that I think has been playing for a little bit. Speaking of DPs doing commercials, this is the same DP who shot the movie Lurker. And it was a collab between Wendy's and Wednesday Adams. So you can like see in the background the Wendy's sign says Wednesday. It's purple. So this was an example of like big budget commercial. We had all these rain towers. We had a car rig. We had our fake lightning. And then between every cut, I would go in, check, make sure none of the seals on the camera broke, that it was dry off, blow off water off the lens. And then we'd go again. And I'd get soaked. But it was great. uh,
Wow, yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. Also intense, or were the strikes of 2023. It was like the longest, I've now forgotten the specifics, but it's the second longest strike in the film industry ever, and like the longest joint strike of actors and writers. I believe that's the qualifiers. It was over 100 days, and it's interesting because the function of a strike formerly was, you showed up to your place of work and you're like, we won't work until our demands are met. But now, like, most people, unless they're on a show, they're not like stuck to one lot, like Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox. And it's not like the demands are going to be met on the lot. They're going to be met in some boardroom that happens elsewhere. So it's interesting to see these like tie overs of like, how do we fight for our rights? And there's still these like battles, like the studios like chop down the trees to like eliminate shade for the protesters and like all this ridiculous stuff. But the industry has never really recovered since, sadly. A lot of the work went overseas, and it's been slow since. So being adaptable, finding other ways to make income, very important. Some photos from the fires, just because it's striking and I'm still like processing it mentally, even though I wasn't, my house didn't burn down. I know at least 5 people who lost their home, and it's crazy that just like whole neighborhoods are just entirely gone. And, cars are just forklift and shoved in a corner. But LA has had, between that, the strikes, and COVID, LA has just been really suffering, unfortunately. But segue to cool things. Um, Things I wish I did. Apply to more grants. There's like so many grants when you're a student. There's not so many grants when you're not a student. Um, Opening a high yield savings account. I didn't know what this was, but basically like in college, I had a savings account and it made like 6 cents a year or some garbage amount. But then there's companies who have high yield savings where you actually make like a sizable amount of money on your money you store there every year. So like I think right now most of them are around like 4%, which is still a lot better than, your pennies at your big banks. Um, Open one of those, throw money in it when you can. Use your student discounts. When I graduated, I bought myself a full frame DSLR and I still have it and use it. And now everything's mirrorless, but I still have a great camera. Um, and go to stuff like really just like live in the perks of the city you're living in. Go to art walks, especially if you can walk there. LA is so big and it takes forever to get anywhere. And so people become very isolated and live in their bubbles of neighborhoods. And if you don't have friends in your neighborhoods, you don't have friends. Like it's just like you do, but it's like you never see them because it's takes a lot of effort to go be social. Boring things. Keep track of your expenses for write-offs. You can't write off stuff for W-2 jobs anymore. Example, this is my 2023 expenses.
Yay. I love when we get to the spreadsheet part of your talk.
Cool. So I have like advertising stuff, keeping my car alive, which actually I can't really write off because it's so old, but I like to know what I'm spending on my car. Insurance, office, Creative Cloud. Oh my God, Creative Cloud gets so expensive when you're not a student. It's awful. And every year I'm like, hey, I'm gonna cancel if you don't give me a cheaper price. And they're like, okay, here's $5 off. And like, make use of Creative Cloud. Just like gear stuff, like runs to the hardware store. Um, Meetings you have, lunches you have, da 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 da, union dues, yay! You can actually write those off, which is cool. Education, so like screenings. Everyone in the film industry watches the credits. It's education. It's who do you know? And then you're like, oh, so and so like loaded on this. I'm gonna text them. Be like, hey, I saw you loaded on this. Good job. How was it? Blah blah blah. Networking, in a sense. Staying alive physically. Look at me, staying alive, physical therapy. Woohoo. Cool. Keeping track of your jobs. Maybe I will have you blur out. Can you blur out some of it after
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Actually I just won't scroll over. But hey, look, you were one of my first employers of 2023. Where I talk to your class and I like make note what kind of income was it? Was it W-2? Was it 1099? Who was it for? What did I do? What was my net? Did I get health insurance hours for it? Who can I contact if I don't get money? Who was the payroll? Did it make it to my bank? And then like notes on rate. I went on disability that year because I broke my shoulder. And then just like jobs operate under like fake names and titles. And so it's really confusing. And people will be like, well, who was your last employer? And I'm like, I don't know. It was like Exciting Film Ltd. Like, and then that company dissolves after the project is complete. And so it's like a tough question to answer. So you just got to keep track of it all. Because it sucks otherwise. Put a credit freeze on your account. Oops, sorry. I didn't realize the American credit system is such a scam, but there's three credit unions, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and by default, your credit is unlocked, meaning you're easier to have your identity stolen. Speaking from experience. So make an account with all these three companies. They are legally not allowed to charge you to make an account. But they have all these screens that will be like, oh, it's protect my ID for $19.99 a month. And then like there's a little piece of text that says, I'll keep my current plan, which is free. And so you click that and you make an account and then you lock your credit. And essentially what that does is anytime you want to open a credit card or take out a loan, you personally have to go in and unlock it before you can get that loan or get that credit card. And it's just mind-boggling that that's not the default. And by it being unlocked, other people can like take your info and do nefarious things with it. So go do that, make an account. Even if you don't have credit or credit cards, people can still open accounts in your name and it'll affect you later down the line. And getting it off your credit report is terrible. It's a horrible process. So go do that.
Real talk from Alex.
Yes. I hate money. I hate talking about money. I hate negotiating for money. I found a financial advisor. She used to be a camera assistant and then she left the industry to become a financial advisor. And she's super cool. And we have talks like once or twice a year about money and what I should do with it and how I should prepare to retire. So that's a kind of like a, I don't want to say that's later down the line. If you can save now, start saving now. If you can find an advisor, do it. If you want to invest in the stock market, I'm just like I'm not gonna do that on my own initiative. I'm not gonna watch the stock or like I'd rather pay someone to follow all those things and then feel like it's properly managed. Cool. And then lastly, make backups of your work. Like when I graduated college, they told us like, oh, as an alumni, you'll have access to your college Google Drive forever. And then like a few years later, they're like, just kidding. We're going to give you a new email, and that email does not have Google Drive. And so it was like, download your stuff. And so I called the IT department and I did. I was like camping in West Virginia and I was like, oh my God, it's the last night. I have to get it all downloaded. So I'm like on the phone and I'm like, okay, I got it. And then actually like a few months ago, I was like, I want to like reference something that I wrote in college. And I pulled it up and all I had downloaded were the shortcuts to the items in Google Drive, not the
Oh
items.
no.
I know. So I have most of my college stuff is gone, which is like crazy. And then like the end, it doesn't really matter. Sorry guys, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter, but like to be in college, but make physical backups, store them in different locations. Backup means 2 copies, not one. Digital media is ephemeral. Don't trust the cloud. It will go poof. End rant. Okay, I'm almost there, I think. Something someone told me once was like the dream may change and that's okay. And I think about that a lot. And like in college, you have this big idea of like, wow, I'm gonna like write magical realist movies and like direct them, and it's gonna be so cool. And then you get out of college and you're like, I gotta pay my bills. And it's really hard to like do those dreams and be a functioning member of society that isn't, avoiding the IRS. And I've kind of like found my niche, and like I work as an assistant to other people. I help bring their dreams to life. I make a good wage that way. And then I use that money and I rent out a studio space, and that's my dark room and that's my like personal practice. And I don't have to worry about my income being tied to my own art. And there's something very lovely and sacred and stress-free about that. So that's kind of like the thing I've come to accept and love and enjoy. Um, uh, yeah, I also run e-waste events with my union all the time. So there's a bunch of shit. To help people drop off their e-waste. I'm like, is it working? Can I give it away for free if it is? And then I put it back out in the community, and then all the other stuff gets palletized, and a really cool group called Homeboy Industries comes and picks it up and recycles it properly if it's not working. So that's my little volunteer work. There's my upgrade. I used to have a bathtub darkroom, and now I have on the right studio space. It's still like it's not like that astounding of a space. I got an AC unit shoved in the window with wood, and like I actually don't have running water, so I go to like the garden and like fill up a tank of water and bring it in, and then it all drains into a 5-gallon bucket, which I dump after my darkroom session. But it's yeah, it's my space. So
Yeah, that's incredible that you're processing film there. Yeah.
yeah. So that's my studio space. This is a series I kind of started a few years ago during the strikes when I was like, what else could I do for money? My partner was looking into becoming a falconer. So we ended up befriending a bunch of falconers and I did like portraits. It was kind of crazy. Like I didn't know these people at the time very well, or like I just met them. I think actually, yeah, both of these I just met the people that day. But even now, years later, like I've become really good friends with both of them. And all the other people, it just kind of like worked out that way, which is kind of nice and beautiful. Um, so yeah, falconry portraits. How are we doing time? Okay, cool lighting examples. Okay, I got this. Speed run.
I told Alex that we were working on lighting in class, and so Alex pulled together some lighting specific content for us.
Yeah, because I feel like with lighting, you're like, oh, well, you're in Hollywood, you got all these big toys. But I think some of the most beautiful creative shots are like more low budge than you would think. Like, sure, there's like some, oh crap, where'd it go? Downloads. There's like big lights and stuff, but the concept. So like this is from Hand That Rocked the Cradle. Um, a spooky little shot. The grip's like built a carousel and just cut out pieces of gel to make this little creepy nursery projection. And it's kind of like a sick shot. I made it in the movie too, so you'll see it if you watch it on Hulu tomorrow. Um, this was from Walking Dead, and this was just like there's a helicopter looking for you, but it's just two dudes in like a boom lift with lights shining them around, and there's a light on police mode in the background, and it's like, oh, the cops are coming. This is not mine. This is a terrible screenshot from Harry Potter behind the scenes of how they got the glow of the Patronus. And it's just like they wrapped LEDs around a dog, and then it just like let off this beautiful glow.
I love that so much. That dog must have been having so much fun too.
Yeah. A little confused, but hey, get creative. This was from a short film called Magic Shed, but it's literally just like plastic wrapped around like I don't know, PVC pipe, and then there's some cool lights strung in it, and it looked really sick. Okay, this was also Walking Dead. They're driving the Unimog somewhere. I think it's like blue screen in the background, or even no, it was just all neg because it's tight on them, but it wanted to look like the Unimog was driving. And so you got this gal here holding the tree, and she's just spinning the tree, and it's like given the effect that, they're passing through the forest and they got the fan going on the cast and a little bit on the leaves, and boom, driving shot, stationary. Okay, that's it. Cool lighting examples.
Nice, nice.
Cool. Did I do it? 41 minutes. Yeah.
Oh wait,
That's all.
what is the High Puppers?
Oh, Hi Poppers is a shameless plug for my dog's Instagram.
Your dog has her own Instagram. That's very LA of you.
It is. Well, so it started, speaking of Facebook Marketplace, I was like, needed treats to train my dog. And I was like, what treats are on Marketplace? And this woman had like batch of like 10 bags of treats for like $40. And I was like, cool. And then turns out her daughter is like a dog fluencer, and she gets sent free dog stuff like all the time. And they just sell it on Marketplace. And I'm like,
Wow. Yeah.
Pinto bean, you got to own your bones. You got to earn your bones. So I made an account for her. It is not
Got it.
taken off, but yeah.
I'm on it. I'll follow that.
Yeah. So yeah, High Puppers is dog stuff. I'm actually working on like a dog rig for filming, so there will be some cool film stuff on there. I've been doing some like 360 stuff for funsies. And then my sustainability Instagram I run for my union about stuff we're doing about the earth and film, and then my personal one, if you guys care to say hi.
Absolutely. We have a couple of questions I've been neglecting in the chat, but one just came in from Bella. Who wants to know what's a dog fluencer?
Exactly what you
I
think.
imagine so.
It's a dog influencer who like their Instagram is about their dog and they make their money that way. It's bonkers. So, welcome to
I thought
LA.
I would have expected you influenced dogs in some way.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I thought you influenced dogs in some way.
Yeah.
Also, what is that picture on the top right?
Top right. So that is a
That like that pile of sand.
yeah,
Like,
it's a hand operated sand puppet. So
oh,
I don't know. It was like a scene with like a sand monster, and you can see this
like,
guy's head on the right, and he's underneath the table operating the mouth.
oh yeah.
Yeah, simple fun.
Before I forget, Nate wanted to know if you prefer productions that are working with film, or Nate, does Alex herself prefer shooting film versus digital, or does Alex prefer working on a production that's shooting film versus digital?
Film all the way. And here's why. When we switch to digital, we have this like misconception that we can roll forever. Footage is endless. We don't run out of 400 feet of film in the mag. We got this card and then we just swap it out for another card and we just reuse the cards. But what that does is it puts a lot of strain on your crew. And I think it lessens the quality of your work if you have a director who is shamelessly rolling. And so if you never cut after your take and you're just like, no, 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 go again, reset and go again, it doesn't give your props department time to, put the water back where it was at the start of the scene and like eliminating continuity errors. It doesn't give your operator time to rest their shoulder after holding the camera for like a 5 minute take. Um, it doesn't allow people to just like have a moment to reset and be like, okay, when I do it again this time, I need to put focus a little deeper, or, like the lighting cue needs to come a little sooner. And I think a lot of these little things that really perfect the craft can be mitigated if you just take time to actually cut. So that's why I love film. Because you only got 400 feet on the mag. And it's like everyone is more in tune of like, oh, do we have enough to go again? Like, and they're just more of like, if something happens and during the take, it's like immediate cut. It's like, no, let's reset. So that's kind of like the unsung beauty of film, in my opinion.
That's a yeah, very interesting answer. I never thought the difference between the pace and flow I kind of understood, but yeah, like everyone gets a moment of rest and a moment of like realigning themselves.
Yeah. And then sustainability wise, like if you're just rolling forever, you have so much more footage, like 8K footage on like these hard drives that then these poor editors have to sit through and watch all of this garbage that's like, the camera is shaky because you're just like trying to hold the camera before like the talent's actually ready and everything's reset. And then like you just have all this extra data that then is like stored in duplicate and backed up to the cloud on these servers that take water to cool. And it's just like more energy that's like used and unseen in this process just because we kept rolling. And it's really hard to quantify and be like, oh, well, because it's hard to quantify, like we don't talk about it. And I've been trying to like get numbers and it's just, there's so many variables. What camera were you using? What format were you shooting? What hard drives were you using? Did those hard drives get reused? Did it get backed up to LTO, which is like the industry standard, which is weirdly magnetic tapes, is the most archival long-term storage of things. But yeah, there's all these other things that happen after shooting that cost resources. So cut. When you make a film, cut. The end.
Do you want to stop sharing your screen so that we can see each
Oh,
other and see you a little bit bigger? And then that might make it so you can see the questions and comments in the chat as well.
brilliant idea. Thank you. Clearly, I'm not a student of Zoom.
No, 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 it's fine. I like looking at the sand monster anyways. Um, shoot. Do you see the chat now, Alex?
Yes, not a question, but I loved that one slide. I've always been told to try and monetize my art, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Oh, cool. Glad that rung a bell with you. Yeah, I think it's also like in art school, especially, it's like you're a cop out if you're just like doing commercials, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but I'm happy, but I'm getting to do my own stuff. And like, sure, I'm not applying for as many like artist residency things as I would as if I was like a full-time artist, but I'm happy with this lifestyle. And it gives me time to like spend with my puppy dog and my partner and like go travel, and it's nice. So
Did you see the questions from Aiden and then
then,
Bella?
yes, what at-home photo editing software? Um, I use Lightroom. Lightroom has kind of like adopted a lot of things in Photoshop that I used to do in Photoshop. So I'd say like modern day Lightroom is sufficient. Um, I got pegged for this one Facebook ad for like AI editing because I've been doing some like event stuff and I like hate editing. And I was like, fine, let the computer do it. And it just like it had to sample like 4,000 photos from your library to like get a sense of your style. Or you could train it on your style. And it didn't even like it didn't consider recropping photos. And I think that's really like that's a huge tool in events when there's like all this foreground that got in the way that wasn't supposed to be in the way. And I'm like, whatever, this is dumb. I'll just do it myself. So yeah, Lightroom is what I use. What do you think the essence of photography is? Oh my God.
Thank you, Aiden. I'm excited for this.
Wow. Um, I think it's different for each person and individual. For me, I thrive on the act of shooting itself. And that's also why I do well with my personal like journey of like helping other people do their things and making money to make my things, which then I'll shoot and maybe never develop or never edit or never like show to the public eye. Because for me, it's about that process of making the image. And for me, it's a very meditative experience. I mostly shoot 4x5, which is large format. And it's like it's somewhere over there. But it's hauling this big camera and like a 30-pound backpack into the forest to make 4 photos. And for me, that's what was gratifying in our current age of like endless screen time and like influx of imagery is like, no, I'm going to be intentional and just make 4 photos. And then in a few weeks, I might develop it. And then I might scan it. And then maybe like a year later, I'll post it on Instagram. And that's kind of like my trajectory. So I think everyone has a different like essence of why photography works for them, but that's what it is for me, is reflecting and making me pay attention to the present moment. Um,
So yeah, beautiful, beautiful answer. Thank you, Aiden, for putting Alex on the spot with that.
yeah, I'm curious what everyone's answers are. I
Yeah.
want to see an essay. When I take digital photos, what settings are your favorite? I don't have favorite settings. It's like whatever makes the photo right, it's like um yeah, it's just so dependent. Like, am I at night? Is it a long exposure? I'll have like trends that I'll like get into a groove with, but it's just kind of you learn all the tools in your arsenal and then you choose the right tools for the project. What techniques do I utilize the most? Ah, it's an interesting question. I don't know that I have anything that comes to mind. I think technique would maybe more just be like format, and that I shoot large format for its intentionality and its intentional slowness and hand developing it. Uh, because I think there is like definitely times to outsource your work, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just jaded. I like see people drop off their film at a lab, and I'm like, oh, are you really even an analog photographer? You don't even know what temperature to heat E6 to.
Oh my God, what a nerd.
Um,
So good.
that's just whatever. It's
It
not much.
seems, oh,
What are
sorry,
you?
sorry. Oh, I just think it's so like it resonates, like it's all so thoroughly like slow and meditative and hands-on. Like you've had this thing just from the weight of the camera alone, like all the way to, like you said, like heating the chemistry. You've
Yeah.
you've carried this thing the entire way through. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and just like the latent image is such an insane concept that we have technologically made possible of that. Like you take an image of someone of like light bouncing off something in front of you and it goes onto this piece of plastic and then like it stays there in the dark for like can stay in there for days, years, decades. And then even decades later, you can just, throw some chemicals on it and then that light reflection is present again. It's like crazy. I don't know, and like just that concept in terms of like light pinging on a sensor and the red, green, and blue go boop, beep, bop, 1, 0. And it's, I don't know, it's just like less romantic. So there's nothing wrong with it, to each their own.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Stop motion. I actually started in stop motion as a kid. I made a bunch of stop motions. I think out of just the fact that I didn't own a video camera. And it's like video cameras were like this whole other category of like expensive item that your family might own. And my family did not own this. So stop motion was how I made videos. And I don't know, back then YouTube was like a friendlier place. The internet was a friendlier place. And like I was part of this like YouTube stop motion group. There used to be groups on YouTube. And like we would all like make animations and then comment on each other's and like talk to each other. I don't know, it was a fun time. I love stop motion. Leica Studios is like killing it and like keeping it alive. It did about Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings and all of those really beautiful stop motions. And it's cool that the art is still evolving. Like you're 3D printing caricatures faces to get like fluid eye movement, but still like there's like an essence of animation still alive. It's not like that fluid. So yeah.
Any last questions for Alex before we let her go? Alex, thank you. This has been incredible so far. Anyone have any last questions? Alex, I always put you on the spot and ask about your most embarrassing moment on a show.
Okay. I actually don't remember what I said last time. But wait, do you remember what I said last time?
I have a hunch, but I might get it wrong, so I'll just let you.
Okay. The thing that comes to mind now, it was doing reshoots for the most recent Doctor Strange movie. And okay, so here's the thing with Marvel movies. Everything is so confidential. Like you gotta go through all these logins with your special Marvel email to get your call sheets to know when to show up for work. And then 24 hours later, like that call sheet disappears. And it's like screenshot it. Someone from Marvel IT is gonna be like, why'd you screenshot that call sheet? And everything's written in code names and like only certain people get the script. And then at the end of the day, the script has to go back to production to be shredded. And then the script has your name printed across it, so you can't like leak it. So you can be working on a Marvel movie and not really have a good sense of what's going on that day because there's just so many levels of security. And I don't know if I had gotten the call sheet yet, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. There are ways to get info and maybe slacked off that day because that's, a hassle. Anyway, so Benedict Cumberbatch's stunt double comes up to me and we're just like talking, waiting around. And someone on set had a birthday and there was cupcakes. And I was like, oh, like, did you go get a cupcake? Like it was, they're really good. And he's like, are they? I'm like, yeah. You should totally go have one. He's like, okay, I'll go think about it. He goes and he has a cupcake. Unbeknownst to me, the next scene, Benedict Cumberbatch's stunt double is getting exercised like on these like stunt wires, violently being jerked around like crazy mode. So much so that Benedict like walks onto set, sees his stunt double doing the stunt, goes up to him, shakes his hand, says thank you, and excuses himself for the day because he doesn't want to do that stunt. And I made him eat a cupcake beforehand. That was so what have I done?
He didn't throw it up though, right?
No, at least not like to my knowledge. But I felt so bad.
He didn't come to you afterwards, like, thanks a lot, Alex.
No, he did.
Okay, good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Was that my story from last year?
I thought there was something that involved like spilling cards.
Spilling cards.
Or like
Oh.
like a tripping and like dumping data cards on the ground.
Oh. No, I don't.
No.
Did I? Maybe. Always keep your media in a container in case you dump it into a puddle. There's a lesson in that.
Yeah.
But
Cool. Anyone,
Yeah.
any last questions for Alex?
What's your favorite color?
what's my favorite what?
Color? No, no, I just thought of anything. I was just trying to think of anything that's actually serious. Uh,
That's okay if you don't have a question. It's all right.
I might come with it in a second before it
Okay.
ends. I
Well,
don't know.
if no one else has any questions, actually, we might let you go now.
Cool. You guys know where to find me. Give me a shot on the Insta if you ever have questions or want advice.
Yes. All the
yeah.
links to Alex's social and her website are on her bio page in our visiting artist module. Thank you, Alex, so much. Oh, and I'm going to update it with the link to your dog's Instagram. Put that
Yes.
there.
We'll be getting free milk bones soon enough.
Yes, yeah. Thanks again, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, class, and having questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Thanks everybody for all those questions. It's fantastic. Cool. Take care, everyone. See ya, Alex.
Bye. Ciao.